Howdy, guys, and welcome to night 48 of Big Brother Season 24's overnight feed recaps. And welcome to Cliff Notes. A good Tuesday morning to y'all. Yeah, we still don't have the backdoor feeds. Oh, it's making for a tough evening watching these overnight feeds. Not that the people inside are boring, just not a lot of game discussion going on. But I am here to tell y'all what did happen. A little game strategy here and there. So we'll talk about that. But again, the big news is that there's still no news as far as the backyard and what could possibly be going on back there. A few rumors, and we'll talk about that. Now, first of all, we did have yesterday veto ceremony. I assume for the backyard as well, but certainly for the insiders, we had the veto ceremony. Brittany owns the veto. Michael's HOH. Brittany, as expected, chose not to use the veto, which means that Jasmine and Monty will be on the block on Thursday. Now, they're thinking there could be some kind of change in eviction. Maybe isn't Thursday, but eviction is going to be Thursday, and it'll be either Monty or Jasmine heading out the door. And about 99.9% certain it's going to be Jasmine at this point in time. Jasmine doesn't know it yet, but Jasmine is going to be the person going home from the insiders group on Thursday. As far as the outsides, they're still down. We don't know. There was a very brief camera shot of Joseph and Terrence and Turner sitting around talking yesterday. I mean, just a split second kind of shot, not more than a second or two. But we did see a quick shot of them talking. Could these brief shots be intentional by production just so that we don't know what's going on back there, but just as a little reminder or notification that, yeah, they are still in the backyard without giving away anything? Call it a goof if you want, but there's a part of me that wonders if they aren't intentionally just flashing up these shots every once in a while. They know we're paying attention and watching, right? So I did wonder about that, but we did see that. So apparently they're still in the backyard, assuming that shot was actually a live shot, right? You let the conspiracies abound. But I do think they are in the backyard. No clue how their veto ceremony went, if they even had one, but I assume there was a veto ceremony that took place, but we don't know how it was used. Now, there have been rumors out there from a couple of accounts that supposedly are in the know and all of this that Terrence might have used the veto to pull Turner off and replace Turner with Kyle. First of all, just a rumor, has not been verified by anyone, so take it for what it's worth. But let's assume it is the case that Kyle has been replaced, or Turner has been replaced by Kyle. Is it because of a wall yeller? Maybe. Is it because Joseph learned that Kyle had spilled the beans, that he blew up on Kyle, that he started passing on his own information to Terrence and maybe caused Terrence to hesitate and make some changes? Could be. Is it because Turner, knowing that he's on the block and feeling like he's tighter with Terrence and then deserving to be on the block, had a heart-to-heart with Terrence and pulled on some heartstrings and convinced Terrence to just go ahead and give him the week off? Yeah, it's possible. Could it be some plot by Terrence and Kyle to somehow cover up that Kyle has given this information to Terrence and to make it look like Kyle is still a target even though he's not? Yeah, that's possible. They're all possible. We just don't know because we haven't had the conversations. Hopefully we find out. We may never know 100%, but hopefully we find out just what went on. And at some point, it may not be till Thursday night, but at some point they got to tell us whether the veto was used and who is on the block. Maybe tomorrow night's episode. We will find out. But anyway, so we know nothing about what's going on in the backyard. We did have some conversations inside, and a few of them are strategic. So we will talk about that quickly before we wrap this thing up for the day. We start off, I don't know, late afternoon, early evening, upstairs in the bumper pool room. Monty is teaching Brittany how to play bumper pool while Michael's watching. Taylor is just kind of watching as well. While Jasmine is downstairs cooking a chicken. No chicken wings, but they still have chicken. So Jasmine cooking downstairs, everyone else upstairs playing a little pool and everything else. Jasmine has gotten very helpful here in this past week. She's cooking, she's doing all kinds of work and everything, and not saying a word of complaint about it. It's amazing what happens when you're on the block, right? But we've got all the house guests. They're trying to pair house guests from last season, who they would match up with. At one point, Monty says he needs someone more chill than Azza. I thought Ozzy was pretty chill for the most part. But they're doing a lot of that conversation, trying to match people up with each other and having fun with that. Eventually, we do have everyone downstairs. Just a whole lot of non-game talk, talking about buying perfume, shopping bags, noses. Brittany says her mom calls her Little Rock or Nose Rock, Little Rock, I think. Talk about Botox. They're making faces at each other, seeing what they can do with their face, muscle wise, and all that. Talk about who might be getting talked about by us online. They're thinking Indy's getting a lot of press right now. Yeah, she got a little bit, but not as much as some of the other people in the house. Favorite beds that they want in the house and who's been sleeping in different beds and all that. Talking about pregnancy and Taylor and Brittany specifically talking about getting pregnant and the dangers of it and everything else. Talking about the show schedule, thinking about, and apparently it's because Michael and maybe Brittany were in a diary room. They said something about on Thursday's evictions, and then Big Brother came back and said, could you say that again, but don't mention Thursday, just say the coming up evictions or something. So now they're thinking that everything could change. Hey, I'd be fine with an eviction on tonight or tomorrow instead. Get this twist done with. Let's move on to whatever else is going on. So I'm all in if they want to do it, but I've got no indication, TV schedule or anything else that's going to be anything other than standard Wednesday, Thursday night schedule. But they're thinking something could be a little different, which from their standpoint changes things a little bit. If suddenly they get called into the living room to vote, because there has been some talk about maybe telling Jasmine ahead of time and things like that. So they're wondering about it. They're talking about double evictions, when that could come up and how that would affect them. It's just a lot of that kind of talk going on. Jasmine does bring up Muffin Gate again. I have the controversy that just won't end. She's wondering, she said, all right, now that we're separate, does anyone want to maybe reveal something that that you didn't want to do while everyone was here together? And everyone's laughing about it. They aren't saying anything, just laughing about it. But Jasmine is saying that she knows that the muffin was Turner, but she doesn't know who was the cookie that ate the cookie. She thinks it's two separate people. She knows how to read people. She could tell talking about to Turner that it was Turner, but she's just wondering who else was involved. And everyone's laughing, but no one's fessing up. So Muffin Gate will remain a mystery. She's going to the jury house, so until come September, Jasmine may not know whatever actually happened with Muffin Gate. All right, we've got Michael up in the HOH bathtub, just trying to relax, enjoy his time as an HOH. Brittany's up in the HOH room, sitting on the couch talking to him. And I get it, you got to talk strategy and all that, but there's only 5 people in a house. It seems like you could find some private conversation time just almost whenever you wanted to. I kind of think bath time is sacred. Michael's talking. I mean, Michael enjoys talking Big Brother, but I have a feeling he really wanted to take a bath just to relax and maybe get away from the Big Brother talk for a little bit. But Brittany's hitting him up pretty good with all kinds of questions and scenarios. And, these two spent a lot of time going over every possible scenario. I'm not going to cover them all tonight because half of them depend on things happening in the backyard that we don't even know about just yet. We'll deal with them a little bit later, but a few of the things that are mentioned, Brittany is talking about wondering whether they should just go ahead and tell Jasmine. Let's just come clean. Tell Jasmine why she's going home, that we're part of this alliance, that we know you had these other alliances, that basically that not try to blame it on anything that isn't actually true. Just kind of not give her all the details, but at least tell Jasmine why she's going home and let her know that she is going home at this point in time. Michael's saying, yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah, it could be a good part of jury management for us to go ahead and tell her that she's going home, as opposed to her getting out here upset that we blindsided her and all that. So he says, I'm good with it. He's also wondering if they tell Jasmine what's going on without a lot of details, but a little bit about what's going on, if there may not still be a few secrets that Jasmine has that she could in turn give back to them. If she feels like they're coming clean with her, maybe she'll do the same, and maybe they'll learn something else about it. So I fully expect by the time evictions come Thursday, Jasmine's going to know what's going on. If not her, someone else in the house is going to tell her that she is a target, that she is going home, and we'll see how that she won't be happy. I mean, no one's happy to go home, but I think Jasmine understands it and she'll be fine with it. As fine as you can be, right? All right. Brittany is again is wondering if they should tell Jasmine why she is going. Oh, we cover that. All right. They are going through scenarios for next week, and again, I'm not going to cover all of them, but they are worried that if Joseph does come back, that means that he's probably higher in the pecking order than Michael and Brittany are. So, yeah, they are all for the alliance, leftover alliance, and all that when they're talking to everyone else. But in private, they are a little bit concerned that what they see when everyone comes back will show them a little bit of pecking order. And if Joseph's there, probably means they're as low as they think that they could be in the group. They're talking about the fact that Joseph going could be a good thing because then they don't have to take the big shot. I think at one point Michael also said it also means that Kyle is still there as a little bit of a buffer, that everyone will focus on taking out Kyle before Brittany and Michael. But if Kyle's gone, then it could easily be Michael as maybe the key target as soon as Alyssa or Terrence is gone. So yeah, he's a little bit worried about that. They are talking about the fact that if it came down to them, they would probably rather have Turner go home before Kyle. And I think it's because they think Kyle can stir things up a little bit. They're a little bit concerned about Turner's connections to everyone else over on that side of the house. They're worried about Turner. They're talking about his memory and saying, man, memory competition, Turner's going to be tough. Brittany's saying, I always thought maybe that would be the area that I would excel, but with Turner in here, he may be the best at it and dominate those kind of competition. So a lot of those concerns. Michael is talking again, as they do every single night, about his ideal final groupings. Tonight, he's saying that his ideal final five is probably himself, Brittany, Taylor, Terrence, and then either Joseph or Alyssa, whichever of those two survive this week. Could be both of them, but one of those two as well is his final five. Brittany is talking about the fact that it's her and Michael, but she's thinking that saying that Taylor is very committed to a final three with her and Michael as well. So she feels pretty good about Taylor. Now, Taylor has a conversation with Monty just a little bit later in the evening, which may say a little bit other than what Brittany's thinking right here, but she's feeling pretty comfortable with Taylor. But she is, as I mentioned, worried about Turner also dominating memory comps. I think I said that. All right. We've got Taylor and Monty having a pretty nice conversation downstairs in the bathroom. While I think this is while everyone else is upstairs in the HOH room. Monty's talking a little bit to Taylor about he knows that she's tight with Brittany and Michael, and he's wanting to talk a little bit more game with Brittany and get a little tighter with her. And Taylor saying, yeah, Brittany wants to do the same thing with you. I think y'all need to talk a little bit more and bond just a little bit more. He is wondering about how tight a connection there is between Michael and Brittany. He's saying, I know game wise, they're or emotional wise they're tight, but game wise, are they absolutely connected on this thing or what? And Taylor, and this is where it varies a little bit from what Brittany was saying to Michael. Taylor is implying that Brittany won't necessarily want to go to the end to a final two with Michael. And she says something like, yeah, Brittany, she understands game versus personal and all of that. And, but I think Brittany's a little bit worried about that as well. And Michael saying, he's surely she's scared or would be worried about Michael winning everything. He's proven that he can just absolutely dominate. Why in the world would you want to go to a final two? And so Taylor's letting it be known that Brittany's probably not ready to go to a final two with Michael. Again, Michael's going to be a huge target going forward. There's just no getting around that. They're wondering at the same time, as worried as they are maybe about Michael, also wondering, and Taylor doesn't just come out and say, Michael's hard, this hard, we got to do something. She's very chill about the way she says it, but she's certainly planting the seeds with Monty. Conversation moves on to Kyle, wondering how they're going to handle him. And a lot of it depends on what happens out in the backyard this week. Does he spill the beans? Does he not spill the beans? Is he loyal to the Lions? Is he loyal to Alyssa? So they're wondering how they're going to handle Kyle. And from that, it turns into a discussion of the first couple of weeks that everyone was in the house. And Taylor's talking about how difficult it was. And she mentions that she went to the upstairs DR room, which I guess it must be a psychologist on standby or something, because she talks about how maybe not a psychologist, maybe it's just the producers up there, but she talks about how she hashed through a lot of stuff she was dealing with. Monty's talking about maybe talking to them to help figure out what he wants to do. So they're just talking about a little bit of stress, but it does come back to the first couple of weeks of the season, and Monty gives a pretty heartfelt apology to Taylor and says, "Man, I was hearing different things that first week. Sorry, I was a complete bleep." And so he's acknowledging that the first couple of weeks, behavior wise, a little rough on Taylor, and he had some blame as well. So he is telling her that, and it's kind of nice to see. All right, we've got Jasmine and Michael talking to each other. Jasmine is starting to pitch a little bit, and she says, "I'll be. This is what will be in my pitch later." So I guess she's practicing to Michael for what she's going to pitch. Now maybe that makes sense because Michael doesn't vote. The voters are Brittany and Taylor. Yeah, I had to think about that for a second. So maybe she's just figuring she's tied enough with Michael. She's going to practice her pitch to Michael before she actually uses it for Taylor and Brittany. But she's talking about the fact that she's close to Alyssa, who in turn is close to Kyle. So she thinks that she may be able to get some information for Michael and Brittany, information coming from Kyle that otherwise they wouldn't be able to get. So she thinks that will help. She's saying that Monty is a much bigger physical threat than Jasmine when it comes to the competitions. She mentions that she's still injured, so that she can easily be beat, that she won't recover before the end of the Big Brother season, that she can barely walk. So why would anyone send her home instead of Monty, who's this huge physical threat? It's not making any sense to her. All right, we've got Taylor and Brittany talking. Brittany's talking to Taylor about the same thing she talked to Michael about potentially telling Jasmine, giving her at least some of the info about that she's going home and why she's going home, and not beating around the bush with all this misleading stuff and everything. Taylor, again, kind of back to the Monty conversation, planting some seeds. Taylor's talking about how Monty had said Michael is so strong that he doesn't even see how Michael can pitch any kind of final two, final three plans to anyone else in the house, because why would anyone want to be a final two or final three with Michael? So again, Taylor kind of trying to create a little bit of a division between Michael and Brittany, which makes sense because if Brittany's a little more distant from Michael, who's Brittany going to turn to? What, Taylor is her next bestie kind of person. I think Brittany and Michael are much closer than Taylor or Monty are recognizing. All right, there's a lot of eating going on of the whole group downstairs. A lot of non-game talk about neighborhoods, designing rooms, HGTV houses, shopping, trial subscriptions, blah 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 blah. Just a lot of that going on, and there is a lot of talk about all the stuff that the outsiders have to keep them busy during the day. The pool table, Chinese checkers. They're still upset that the Chinese checker set disappeared from inside the house. You only got 48 hours or so. Yeah, you'll be all right. There is a mention. I thought this was. There's a mention that the have not room is off limits. It's locked. They can't get in there. They're figuring it's being converted into something for some twist going forward. And I think they're absolutely right. I don't know what it is. Could it be Pandora's box? Could it be a reset button for some week going forward? Or something completely different? We don't know, but the fact that they don't have access to the have not room is an absolute indication that there's another twist involving that room coming up. We had, after our have nots ended, our camp come back and have nots not, we had access to it the whole rest of the season. The fact that they don't, something's going on up in that room. I'm interested to see. I don't know. For all I know, all the outside house guests are all locked up in that have not room. Now, you talking about torture? If 5 of them are stuck in one single room for 3 or 4 days straight, that would be a little bit tough. All right. We've got Michael and Brittany and Monty all in the HOH room. They stayed up fairly late last night, which they hadn't been doing for a while. But Michael, Brittany, and Monty in the HOH room. They're wondering, as I mentioned before, if the eviction is maybe some Tuesday or Wednesday or something instead of Thursday. Now it's going to be Thursday, as far as we know. They are wondering exactly what's going to happen outside, what's been happening outside. Yeah, we're kind of curious ourselves. They're all talking about. Sounds like they're all talking about Terrence going home next week. Terrence can't compete for HOH. It just sounds like this is the non-leftover alliance person they want to go ahead and get out the door. And maybe that changes once they find out whatever happened outside. But at least for now, sounds like Terrence is target number one going forward. Uh, they're all laughing about the fact that Jasmine has been on her absolute best behavior this week, that she hadn't asked anyone for anything this week. I think Michael says something like, yeah, she's even cutting her own watermelon. Who would have thunk it? So they're all talking about the change in behavior of Jasmine now that she's on the block and how that kind of sobers people up a little bit. Finally, to finish up the evening, we've got Monty and Taylor sleeping in adjoining beds in the car room. Nothing other than the fact that when you have two people that are hanging out as much as that seems like they were tonight, sleeping next to each other, it just shows there's a little more bonding going on there. It's going to help both of their games, I think, as they kind of tighten up their connections. And finally, all the house guests in bed about 4 o'clock or so in the morning, calling it night. Michael didn't even, at least if he did, I missed it. Michael didn't give us the typical good night messages or strategy or anything else. So they just called it a night and that's it. So there you go, guys. Man, even when nothing happens, I still talk for 20 minutes. I can talk to a rock. But anyway, so there you have it. We'll find out. Maybe we get the live feeds back. Maybe it is the most incredible 24 hours as we find out everything that's happened in the backyard. Kind of doubt it. But if it is, I'll be here to tell you about it. I'll be here tomorrow morning to tell you about whatever is discussed overnight. So until then, guys, y'all have a fantastic Tuesday. I will see y'all tomorrow. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends.